here are some more numerical comparators on the screen. As you can see, there are comparisons for less than or equals, which you just type by typing the less than sign followed by the equal sign. Next, there's a comparison for greater than or equals, which is greater than or equals. And finally, at the very bottom, there is not equals. Not equals is if you ever want to check if a certain number is not equals to something else. All right, one last thing. Remember booleans all the way at the beginning? Am I hungry? Yes, I am very hungry. Right? Ever since I started recording this video, I have gotten hungrier and hungrier. But anyway, booleans are variables that are evaluated to true or false. That's actually what's happening here. Temperature less than 10, right here on my screen, actually means something that can evaluate to true or false. If it evaluates to true, it will run the code inside my curly braces. If it evaluates to false, it will continue evaluating the rest of the conditions. You can actually create booleans directly and evaluate them. So let's take a look at this, right? Let's have a function that advises us on whether to bring an umbrella, right? We're all about the weather today. So func should bring umbrella, and it takes as an argument whether it's raining. So is raining bool. Okay. What we're going to do here is we're going to check, right? If it's raining, you should bring an umbrella. So if is raining equals true, print you should bring an umbrella. Else if is raining equals false, print you should not bring an umbrella. Or you could, whatever. Why did you even ask if you were going to? Anyway, wait, I'm not sure what I'm doing, but yeah, that sounds about right. Okay, so down here, I'm going to type in should bring umbrella, and I'm going to give it true, right? If it's raining, yep, you should bring an umbrella. I'm going to type in false, and it's going to get all passive aggressive on me. So that's fine, I guess. And you know what? I can actually test this function twice. Here's how I can do it. I can just say should bring umbrella true and should bring umbrella false. This way I can test both possible outcomes of this function. That's a handy little way of using functions, because functions are great. You can just call them as many times as you want. Hello. Now, there's a bit of optimization that we can do with this code. First, over here, if and else if, notice that we don't have an else, and that's perfectly fine. You could have conditions where it's just if and else if, two possible conditions that you want to evaluate. In this case though, a boolean can only be true or false. So you don't actually need this second condition over here, that's else if is raining equals to false, because if it's not true, it's got to be false. So this one could just be false. Fair enough. The second thing I can do is over here. Instead of checking if is raining equals to true, remember that this entire thing evaluates to true or false. That means you could just take is raining and just dump it into the condition, and it can hence be the boolean itself. If is raining is true is the same as if is raining. I'm just going to show you what I mean by printing it out. I'm going to say print is raining equals to true. And as you can see over here, when is raining is true, is raining equals to true is true. When is raining is false, is raining equals true is false. That sentence, once again, made very little sense when I said it out, but I hope you get what I mean. All right, a side effect of this is that now we can just read this as though it were an English sentence. If it's raining, print this, else print that. Okay, let's move on to our final exercise. Open sidebar, new page, exercise 5, and tap on it. So in this exercise, you're going to need to type out this little function. Func is divisible. Divisible. There we go. That's how you pronounce things. A int, B int. And this function receives two integers. And what we want is when someone types in is divisible on two numbers of which one could be divided by the other, you should print divisible. So here's what I mean, right? So is divisible, press enter to autocomplete. 10 and 5. 10 is divisible by 5, right? This should print divisible. Is divisible 5 and 10. This should print divisible as well, because 5 is divisible by 10. However, if you do is divisible, and the reason why I keep making the mistake is because I keep pressing tab to autocomplete. So if anyone's coming to this from Xcode, just be aware, to autocomplete on Swift Playgrounds, press enter. Enter. Let's say 5 and 3. 5 is not divisible by 3. 3 is not divisible by 5. This should print indivisible. Okay? Alright, so give it a try, and I will... Oh, wait, sorry. Before I go, there's a hint for you. Use the modulo operator. Right? That should help you figure out whether something is divisible or not. Okay, we're back. Let's go check if A is divisible by B. How do we do that? If A is divisible by B, then the remainder of A when divided by B is 0. Okay, that kind of makes sense, right? So the 10 divided by 5 has a remainder of 0. 20 divided by 2 has a remainder of 0. Okay, then you can say print divisible. All right, so let's run this code. All right, here we go. So that's great, right? If I run this code, and it will say divisible. But I also realized that it doesn't print indivisible, right? For the cases where things are not divisible. And also it only prints divisible once, which is not so great. So I'm going to type else print indivisible. Let's run this. Here you go. First one prints divisible. Second one prints indivisible. Hey, wait a minute. And the third one indeed prints indivisible. So the reason why this prints indivisible is because the remainder of 5 when divided by 10 is 5. So we need to check the other way around. So the way we do that is with another else if statement. So else if b modulo a equals to 0, then we can also print divisible. Okay, so let's run that, and I think we should be good to go. There you go. Divisible, divisible, indivisible. Okay, that's it for our intro to Swift. That should be enough Swift concepts to get us covered through the next SwiftUI project. So there's quite a few things we haven't covered, and some of you who are watching this video coming from other programming languages might be familiar with some of these concepts like loops and arrays and functions that return values. Not to worry, we might get around to some of these in a future video, but this should be enough for us to get going. Alright, so that's it for this unit. We've covered a whole bunch of stuff introducing the Swift language. We learned about variables, constants, and types and comments. We did some operators, we did some printing, we did some string interpolation, we worked with functions and conditionals. That's a lot of stuff. Congrats on making it through all this. We'll be going back to SwiftUI to make yet another app in the next unit, and I will see you soon.